Happy New Year and welcome to our first event of CEPT AA in 2021. And this is a third Canteen Talk event. And, yet again, we have four more awesome speakers who will share their journey with us today. So, before we get started, just a quick housekeeping. As you all are joining the event, please keep yourself muted, and we request you all to please introduce yourself in the chat box. You can provide just your name, batch year, faculty, just your location or any contact details, your email, phone number, anything that you would like to share with everyone. And also, if you have any questions, please feel free to put that also in the chat box. And also, please put the batch year next to your name in the participants window. And with that, I would first like to give a quick update about CEPT AA. Of course, we have the four speakers, and I will get to those details as we go along. So first, beginning with some of the details about the organization. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, we are CEPT Alumni Association of Americas, and our website is septalumniamericas.org. And of course, you can see more information on the website. For example, our mission, the goals and objectives that we have for the organization, various kind of events that we have been having, Canteen Talk, Nostalgia, Musings Over Chai, and some of the upcoming events like From Her Perspective. So you can find all that information on the website. And you can also see there is a, small little map that shows location of some of the registered members with the organization. And you can see that we are all over. We are all corners of US, Canada, and that's just awesome. It's great. And with that, just to give some idea about the database that we have. So far we have around 138 CEPT alumni who have registered with the organization, and we will also provide the registration link in the chat box for you to register in case if you have not done so far. And so please do so that you are also in the network. And then of course we have various social media platforms. We have LinkedIn group, which is for the professional networking, and it has about 127 members. There's a Facebook group which is for social networking, and it has about 114 members. And there is also a WhatsApp group which has about 127 members. And so please consider joining one of these groups, and be in touch with CEPT activities. And again, with the registered members, you can see this is the kind of breakage that we have, kind of mix people coming from different faculties. So you can see, how we are distributed. And again, please, we would love to have more people join in. And being part of CEPT AA, please consider contributing to CEPT AA. You can share knowledge, volunteer time with different events, activities, and you can also consider donating. And with that, we have four speakers. But before we begin the panel, we would like to take a quick poll question. So that is, just to kind of get an idea. It's just more fun. So Timur, would you please like to launch uh, the poll? It's the first question for today is. Um, once you put in the poll, I will. Timur, you are on mute.
Should I go ahead and launch it now?
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead. All right. So here is the question. How would you like to be engaged in CEPT events? And this is a multiple choice question. So, more than one answer you can select. And I'll give you around 30 more seconds for everyone to just mark your answers. And then at the end, Timur, if you would like to share the result, once it's closed.
Yes, I'm just going to give it a few seconds because
Yeah,
people are
sure.
still.
Yep, sure.
And Neha, meanwhile, can you please share with everybody how to donate, where to send a check?
We are still working on those details, and we can get back to you offline on that.
Okay.
Sure.
I request everybody to unmute their videos.
And so, here, this question is really, as we will have more future events, we would like to have more people, speak in different events, also moderate different events, or, just in general participate. So just to get an idea, how people would like to be engaged. So, this is just a fun way to know, where we stand.
Okay, I'm going to end the poll.
Sure.
That way we can publish the results.
And perfect.
Parth?
So we can see, I think everybody wants to at least participate in the event. That's great. And wow, I think then we have 44% people who would like to moderate at Canteen Talk. That's excellent. And then we have moderate at Musings Over Chai. And then we have speakers, both are 25% speaker at Canteen Talk and speaker at Musings Over. This is such an interesting it's a thing to see, what interests everyone. I mean, this can be very helpful in, planning out our future events. Thank you, Timur, for, sharing the poll results. You may please close if you would like.
Okay.
So now with that, I would now like to welcome our speakers. So this time, initially we used to have Canteen Talk where we used to have participants introductions to begin with, and then we used to go for speakers. But this time we would like to have speakers, share their journey with us. And then at the end, we will go to everybody's introduction so that we get to know everyone more than just participating here in little windows. So with that, please welcome our speakers for the day. And, we have four amazing alumni today. And again, this time we would first like to start with the junior most alumni and then go to the senior most. So in that order, we will first have Richa Desai and then Amit Patel, followed by Vikas Jain, and then we will have Suresh Patel. So again, thank you all for your time and agreeing to share your story with us today. So first, let's begin with Richa Desai. She is from batch 2002, Faculty of Design. Richa, please go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Neha. And first of all, a big thanks to Timur, Neha, and everyone who's put in so much of time to put this platform together. And it's just amazing for all of us to be able to connect and really know each other. As Amit mentioned last time, that we are actually getting to know people that we can reach out to. So it's fantastic, and big thank you to you guys. So as Neha mentioned, I'm Richa Desai. I am SID 02 batch undergraduate, and currently living in New Jersey, and a mother to a 1-year-old daughter. So, some marks that you see are from her. Currently in my role, I am the Director of Sustainability at CEPT. CEPT is a global food service packaging manufacturer that manufactures packaging out of paper, pulp, as well as plastics. So primarily single-use packaging. And I'm responsible for leading their sustainability initiatives, both internally and we are a company that has operations, 15 plants across North America, Asia, and Europe. And my primary role is to integrate sustainability into the company or design strategies that would enable our company to grow not only profitably but also grow with purpose. So designing and executing both long-term and short-term sustainability strategies to drive business performance and sustainable innovation across the company's value chain. So right from interior design, so core designing to corporate sustainability. So how did I get here? Now, of course, I didn't start with, corporate sustainability. I graduated into and practiced as an interior designer for almost 3 years. And me and my classmate, one of my classmates at that time, we started, doing freelancing designing. And one of the first projects that we did was to restore conserve and restore a 150-year-old Haveli in Jaipur, and we converted into a boutique heritage hotel. And, you know, being right out of college, that was the most amazing thing that happened to us. We were like living our dream of, you know, actually executing a full-blown project. And we went on to design residences, commercial, farmhouses, you know, office spaces across Gujarat, Rajasthan, and Delhi. But how much ever we loved doing what we were doing, we did lack the business acumen to, you know, run and even grow our business sustainably. So at that point, I decided to, you know, go back to school and get learning on how do I bridge this gap between design and market, and how can I make this practice more sustainable. But it so happened that my interest changed from, you know, core design to design management. So that is what NID did to me. And I did my master's in strategic design management, and went on to work for a German company, which you know, manufactured innovative and energy efficient radiant heating and cooling systems. So I was responsible for business development, launching the product in India, doing technical marketing, branding, developing local partnerships across India for this project. And you know, suddenly from being someone who would approve products to go into the space, I was sitting on the other side of the table, you know, convincing the designers or architects that this was a product that would, you know, solve your energy efficiency needs. So did that for about 3.5 years, and that job really required extensive traveling. So I was traveling almost 4 days every week for 3 years. And in one of my trips, I think it was to Europe, I saw a presentation on corporate sustainability. And that is when my manager at the time, he told me that if I were your age, Richa, I would go back to school and do corporate sustainability, because that is, you know, one of the key ways how you can really create value for not only your shareholders, but stakeholders across the board. And I'm like, yes, you know, you are my very good friend. So we developed, you know, very good friendship over the 5 years that we were connected. But I'm like, you must be out of your minds to even suggest me, you know, I've done 5 years of undergrad, including a thesis, plus 2 years of master's at NID. And I'm like, I'm done with academics. But, you know, the thought kept rolling, and it so happened that I got married and came to US. So as everyone, you know, or most of us, we had to restart our career. So I thought this was a good time, and I decided to go back to school and pursued another master's in corporate sustainability from University of Pennsylvania, and loved everything that, you know, they were talking about at the school, and, you know, what was going on with the corporates and how sustainability could really create value. And that's when I joined, you know, I entered or started working as a professional in corporate sustainability since 2016.
Okay, wonderful, Richa. I mean, this is fantastic. You know, I mean, a lot of us are also working like in the field of sustainability, but you really bring an interesting work profile, like combining design and sustainability with the corporate side to it. So, you know, wonderful to hear your story, and you know, thanks for walking us all through your journey. And I'm sure, you know, it's a learning, you know, takeaway for everyone. So, thanks so much. All right, so now I think we will move on to next. We have is Amit Patel, and he is from 2002 batch, Faculty of Planning. And Amit, please go ahead. Please share your story with us.
Thank you, Neha. Good afternoon, everyone. It's so great to be with all of you. If I have to introduce myself in one line, I'm the person who never left the school. So I'm not done with the academics, Rita. I'm in a school even today. I teach at University of Massachusetts, Boston. I teach research methods and urban policy to masters and doctoral students. Some of them are twice my age, so sometimes it's hard to know who's teaching whom. it all started with my dream to attend CEPT for architecture in 1996. I came very close, but missed CEPT admission just by 2 ranks. And then I went on to go with my plan B, went to MS University in Baroda to study architecture. And I realized in my life that your plan A always shows up in some or the other form. So that's what happened to me, actually. I finally landed at CEPT for my master's in urban planning in 2002. So when I entered the campus on day one, that's when I realized why this is plan A for so many people across the country. Those 2 years at CEPT has really changed my life like no other. And it has changed the way how I think about everything permanently. It's now part of life. And there's so many things I can share with you, and I don't even know where to start. But let me start with my very first semester. So, like many other architects in planning class, I too thought like urban planning is all about making beautiful maps. So here I am with all my drawing sheets and color markers. But then I met with fellow classmates who are trained in very different backgrounds, like engineering, social work, economics, geography, and they had very different ideas about what planning is. And so that's when I first time realized that I need to unlearn what I already know if I want to learn something new. So that's one lesson that from my life that has stayed with me even today. And the second amazing thing that I distinctly remember is the study tours that we had in almost all the courses in planning. So I came to know about so many different faces of India thanks to all those field trips, like social issues in rural Gujarat, artisan clusters in Madhya Pradesh, tourism development in Kerala. It's all so much to learn firsthand from those field trips. And in that combination of staying in the studio and going back to the field and back and forth between those two, that has really worked so for me, even, and it helps me even today. So I'm looking at the clock here and nervousness on Neha's face. So it's a risk to give microphone to a professor. Let me say that. So let me just fast forward. If jumping from architecture to urban planning was not crazy enough, my curiosity took me to management. So I crossed the street, joined IIM Ahmedabad for fellowship in management. That 1 year at IIM was a really perfect complement to the training that we received from CEPT. So, the very organic and free kind of thinking of CEPT that has given me creativity that married to rationality. That was just everywhere in this super structured approach that IIM had about education. But within a year, I packed my bags again. I wanted to do a PhD in public policy here in the US. So I came to George Mason University in Arlington, Virginia, where I also did my postdoctorate. And thanks to all the multidisciplinary training at CEPT, I combined GIS, simulation, planning, policy, all to study slums for my dissertation. And that dissertation went on to win 2 national awards, got funding from the National Science Foundation here in the US. And in my research throughout, I've looked at many different areas: organ trafficking, tuberculosis, in partnership with Gates Foundation. But throughout this journey, there's just one thing that started and has remained common to all that I do today, and that's my interest in slums. So I explore slums from a variety of angles. Now, one of which is very basic, how you define and enumerate slums. So fun fact, government of India grossly underestimates slum population. There are way too many people who live in housing deprivation, whether we call them a slum or not. And this is not just for India, it's true for many developing countries and perhaps developed countries. that they undercount. But I also look at slums from space, like to identify them from space using satellite images. I've developed decision support tools to experiment with slum policy ideas in a simulated environment. I've looked at entire residential history of slum residents in Tanzania to explore questions like whether they ever experience improvement in their housing or they're trapped in this cycle of poverty forever. I have then that there's climate change. I have looked at how climate change and environmental degradation affects men and women differently in slums of India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. So, this is all science, but I'm not just an armchair scientist that I may look like right now. I like to get a feel of these issues firsthand in our own CEPT style. So I have also rented a room in a slum in Ahmedabad, lived there. It was such a great experience, and I learned a lot about those challenges in slums that no amount of readings can ever teach me. So it's that kind of thing, and forget about research. In a true CEPT spirit, I've also curated photography exhibitions about lives in slums, and it's thanks to CEPT. Everything we do, there has to be a soft board and a thumbprint. So those exhibitions, and then my Gujarati enterprising blood has also kicked in. I have sold those photographs at the end of the exhibition to raise funds to build toilets in those slum communities. And in fact, one of those exhibitions started was from a studio that I conducted from here in CEPT, and that engagement has continued since then. I have advised master's theses, examined doctorate dissertation of CEPT students, also encouraged CEPT students to pursue PhD in public policy here in the US. And in fact, one of the students is here with me at UMass doing his dissertation under my supervision. So long story short, I've never cut my umbilical cord with CEPT. I'm always looking for opportunities to engage with our school. And that's really my long, short journey. So thank you, and I'm looking forward to connecting with all of you later. Thanks.
Wonderful, Amit. I mean, this is amazing to hear, like just writing about slum, but like being there, going there and actually living to experience what it is like. I mean, this is just an amazing story to hear, very ground level work and research that you bring into your perspective. And, glad to hear your story. And thanks for sharing, your, your research side to, public policy and planning. So thank you so much. And we would love to hear more of your more in-depth research at some point. All right, so now we will move on to our next speaker, and he is Vikas Jain, and he is from 1993 batch, Faculty of Technology, and then he has also done, from Faculty of Planning. He's from 1998 batch. So Vikas Jain, please go ahead. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Richa. Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. So it's very difficult to follow with what Amit just, went through his experience and journey. Mine is not as colorful. It's pretty straightforward, very linear. I'm, as Richa mentioned, I have, Neha mentioned, I have both planning and Faculty of Technology background. So I'm half my brain left side is analytical, I guess, and the other half is planning and a little more on the creative side. I've worked most of my professional career in at multinational firms in the AEC industry, which is short for architecture, engineering, construction, and in all these large companies, planning is kind of one obscure discipline that sits and straddles across these various lines of businesses. I started out as an assistant planner. I did a little bit of work before moving to the US, went to Clemson, And before that, I was working at Mott MacDonald or Dalal Consultants back then. Very interesting experience working in planning in India, always struggling for data and, trying to do stuff, not pulling stuff out of air, but still trying to navigate through this, lack of data and trying to come up with solutions and whatnot, which is very different when you come here and start working in the US. There is a lot of data. The issue then becomes, how to sift through that data and make sense out of it. So you are inundated with data. But anyway, I started as an assistant planner, worked at WSP, Parsons Brinkerhoff back then, went to work for Jacobs, and currently I'm working for TY Lin International. This is the only plug that I'll have for TY Lin. I'm a consultant, so whenever I have the floor, I have to talk about the company. We build big bridges. We are known throughout the world for building big bridges in San Francisco Bay Area. The San Francisco Bay Bridge is something that we did in the bypass. This is in Arizona, the Hoover Dam bypass bridge that was designed and built by TULN, and so on and so forth. I'm pretty positive that right from Canada to East Coast, West Coast, you'll find bridges that we have done. So that's what we do. And my role at the company is to basically 50% is marketing and business development, and then the rest is technical on the technical front. On the technical front, I manage projects, multidisciplinary teams, and then deliver projects to state and municipal clients, anything related to transportation planning, transit corridor studies, complete streets, so on and so forth. And on the business development side, the idea is, as this market is extremely competitive in consulting, to gain market share. So that is what we try to do. And those who have been in consulting, they know how it goes. It's always backlog utilization, getting work, and then that cycle kind of continues. So CEPT has played, of course, a big role in shaping my career. Everything that Amit mentioned in terms of problem solving, studios and all that. I'm positive you all will agree that that's invaluable in kind of building your thought process and how you work and whatnot. But two things I will mention, and then I'll be very brief, and I'll yield my time to Suresh Bhai. But two things I will mention is to collaborate with folks from different backgrounds and to solve problems. I think that was something that was really important, and it still comes in handy today. And then the other thing is not so much from SEB, but something that, especially for folks who are beginning their career or are in the middle, is having good mentor. And you need that at every, whether you are in school, at CEPT, or you are working, but I think it's very important to have a mentor. And if you can find one and follow their footsteps, then your career and journey becomes really easy. You can see the path carved out for you. So, and the last thing I will touch on is learning to build relationships and maintain them. I think regardless of what career you are, whatever you are doing, I think that is extremely important, not to burn bridges, no pun intended. But that is something that's a big takeaway for me, both in professional and personal life. And last but not the least, so my wife here, she is, CEPT has played an extremely important role in my life. I met my spouse there. So, the rest is, I don't have to say much. And with that, I'll, turn it back to Neha.
Well, I would just add that what you just said, whatever influenced your life has influenced my life big time too. In South Florida.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Vikas. This is wonderful. I mean, getting degree from SEP, but getting a spouse from SEP, that is much bigger.
Right. And Heyman can speak to
vouch
it
for
as
that.
well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not
Uh,
happy as Timir. We don't have any Timir around. I would love to have Timir around.
I know.
All right. So yeah, thank you, because I mean, this was also again, very different area of work. You bring in the transportation, planning, engineering, combination of that, and again, a lot of us do kind of, work, somewhere related to that, and you bring in a very interesting perspective, and thanks for telling us, sharing your, all these different takeaways, and those are really valuable suggestions. So thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you.
All right. So with that, we will move on to Suresh Patel. He is from 1965 batch, Faculty of Architecture. And then again, later on, he also studied planning. So he's from 1971 batch, Faculty of Planning. And Suresh bhai, please go ahead. We would love to hear a story.
Uh, Neha, I wanted to add that, Suresh, we got you a special treat. Your your batchmate Vikram Bhatt, with a very short notice, he has joined us. So thanks, thanks, Vikram.
Can you see my screen?
All right. So I know you would like to share some of the images, some sketches and some drawings or something. Would you like to share screen? Like if you go to your, there's a
Yeah,
green button.
I need to set it up 1 second.
Sure.
I think he's all set now.
Okay. So now if you go to the bottom screen share, there's a green arrow. If you will please click on that. And that will show you the options on what you would like to share, whatever is open on your screen.
You talking to me?
Yes, I'm telling you, yes. So there's a share screen button at the top. Yes, all right. And you can open, I guess, one by one, you can show your images.
Can you see the image?
No, we see just your folder. You may have to go back to your share screen and choose the image, the one that you probably, once after you open it.
I open it.
So again, you go back to the share screen. And then if you click on that, you should be able to see, again, other options. Your JPEG file probably is opened and you can click on that. Yes, we can see it.
Yeah, but it won't allow me to go to the next one.
So probably with that, you might have to just close in and open the next image as you go through.
So Suresh bhai, if you can again stop sharing the screen and then click again, and you will see various options. Click on the share screen instead of individual folder or file. Correct. So now enlarge the file, full screen. Click on the full screen at the top.
Right.
Yep.
Yes, perfect. Yes, we can see. Perfect. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, I can't see myself and all of you, but I'll take through the slides, okay?
Yeah, no problem. We can see you. Please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Good evening, all of you, and Happy New Year to all of you. What I've divided my whole from joining to SEP to what I'm doing into 4 different parts. I was born and brought up in East Africa, and it was in 1964 December, first time I came to India to study architecture. My first impression of India was that I came by steamship, and it had docked early in the morning, and the first thing I saw was only black umbrellas at Bombay Harbor. And I came to Ahmedabad because I was informed of this school by Sato Almeida, brother, who was in Dar es Salaam. I was born up in born in Nairobi and I studied in Dar es Salaam. I had a Ford Foundation scholarship to do technical and grammar subjects. So this is what I came to India from wildlife and natural environment, and I landed up in Ahmedabad. And this is my batch, 1965 batch. You will see Vikram over here and me over here. This is how I was when I came. And this was School of Architecture. This was the lifestyle. Okay. We didn't have computer, we had T-square at that time, and this was a common thing. And this was the first project we had in the first year studio. Just taking it quickly. And I had initiated the first strike for CEPT, School of Architecture. We didn't have water in the hostel. So we said, okay, we go to college, we go to the studio with brushes and towel and everything and attend the classes. And all that got featured in local newspaper, and the faculty were not happy with us. And we said, look, there's nothing we can do. You want us to attend the classes. There's no water, nothing. So we come with our brushes and towel. Then I had always an interesting career with Doshi all the time. A stage came when visiting faculty never used to come to take studios, and Nikki Desai had put something on the notice board, and Doshi called me and said, oh, the faculty will resign. And I said, not a problem for us, we'll go and hire another faculty. So this was part of that. And then there was a movement going on at that time in Gujarat, now Nirman. It was because of the oil prices have gone so high, and food in hostels become expensive and all that. And the movement started by the student from Gujarat University, and few years from CEP joined in, and I was part of that. And this was it. This was my last studio project done under Raje. Some of them, some of my batchmates, some the other incept at the same time, I remember it. I had done 4 studios with Raja, which was very interesting, and I learned a lot from him at that time. Not many know, but CEPT was the first one who started rigging sort of a process in Ahmedabad, and the local students from other Gujarat University came to know, and they didn't like it. So one day they just moved into M block, and unfortunately I was there, and I had a real beating from them. This is how I looked when I finished my architecture. So you can see the change when I came in and when I left, when I joined the planning. Now, after leaving CEPT, I did my post-graduation, but I did not stay till for final summation. By that time, I had to come to UK. So I told them that, look, you know me, this is my work and everything. I'm going to UK. You can pass me or you can fail me. I have no problem. But I knew that they will just pass me. I came to UK on the invitation of Jane Maxwell Fry. Jane Maxwell Fry had visited CEPT University, and I talked to them that I'll be coming to UK one day. And if many of you don't know, Maxwell Fry, Jane were the first architect couple invited by Jawaharlal Nehru to look into the capital of Punjab, Chandigarh. They in fact brought in Le Corbusier. With Jane and Maxwell Fry, I had my real grounding in architecture. I did my professional practice, and she guided me through all the other part of the practicing of architecture. And then she requested me that I go and join a very big firm to gain further information. So I joined British Railways, which is a big property department. There were other firms there, but I joined them because I had a free travel pass to travel all over Europe and UK by train. And that's where I traveled a lot in Europe and UK. By the time I had finished my professional practice, then I did my urban design. And when I finished urban design, we were in reception, And we were in a recession that time, and then there were hardly any jobs. My friend Nimesh had gone to Nigeria from America, and he asked me if I can come over to Nigeria. And I met a Nigerian, and I told him I would love to go to Nigeria. To me, Nigeria, I thought Nigeria would be much more advanced than East Africa, from where I came originally, but I found the other way. In Nigeria, I joined him as an architect, and eventually I became his partner. And I spent 11 years in Nigeria. And Chinraj was there, though I could not meet him when he was there, but so many others were there from CEPT University, and many used to travel to my place because I used to live in a place which was 5,000 above sea level, very pleasant in northern Nigeria. Nigeria taught me a lot. Nigeria was a place where you have to know how to get things done. Nigeria is one of the corrupt places. How you can do projects in a country which is totally corrupt? How you manage to get your fees? My principle was simple. I've done the work, I mean my money. If you don't give me, I'm going to sleep in your office. And that's how it came to me. The other thing I did, that Nigeria was not that developed. And I went to the mayor of a city where I was living. I told him, look, I like to do all these things to improve the city, and I only want a yes from you. You don't worry, I'll go and get the money. The whole process was to develop the whole of the city, provide the infrastructure, the basic infrastructure, public toilets, bus shelters, telephone booths, parks and gardens, and all those things. And I took up the challenge, and by doing this, I got more commission from other cities. Now, this is how you make things done and how you create job for yourself. That was the process. And most of my work in Nigeria got destroyed because of my car had an accident, and it fell down in a river, and everything which was there had vanished. So I made quick sketches. So there were a number of big projects I did. One of the big projects I did has got the biggest single slip span in whole of Africa. And then like the infrastructure, you know how you go about doing it. I had to do this overbridge. And it's the first time I attempted to do something which then precast and done in 2 days, lifted by crane, put on the concrete columns and things like that. The money came from approaching commercial enterprises and agreeing with them that I give you this space to advertise, you give the money. Simple principle, works all the time. Then I moved back to UK. My son was ready for school education over here, and in short, I put something together because condensed little bit of it, not all of the work which I had done. If you see on my left is one of the biggest project I had done. It's called a synchrotron project. You might have heard of CERN. I used to travel a lot to Switzerland. There's a simple principle. It's a light ray which you boost and throw it at a tangent, and that is used to do lot of experiment. It is mainly material physics. Everything which we do now, the taste of the chocolate or how to make the concrete take 100 years, and look at the principle, and everything is done here. How you can take a full body X-ray. And I did the preliminary designs and all that thing, and it was a management contract. A project like this have to be collaboration from all different disciplines, from the building industry. So the idea was to have a management contract where you get the contractor right at the design stage and work through all it. The round building is 280 meter in diameter. And next was an office complex, but at the same time, there was a need to provide for mature students accommodation and all that. And the challenge was how to get this thing done in 6 months. The whole process, which I said, that, look, you're going to go and do everything done in a factory, brought it on the site and assembled, and that is what you see on the right-hand side, the whole thing from the drawing right to the end project. This is the whole site. So this project is known as a diamond project, is a synchronous. To give you some idea about all of you who are in America, why America leads in research and design. America has 26 of these projects. UK have 2. France has 1. China is just about getting into it. Europe, EEC Europe has one big one, which is the sun project. Okay. Then I designed a project over here. On this, it was a process where you're working mainly with the scientist community all the time. Then these are the other projects which I did. I did a number of inner city projects. I had involved in Abuja, capital of Nigeria. I don't have much documentation on that. All has been lost. I did some urban design projects for Edinburgh Hospital in Cambridge. I have been involved in community. I have always believed that you have to give something back to community. This part you see is a 1986 building which was given to by the local authority of the Indian community. And I spent 1 year doing all the refurbishment and renovation work for the whole building. And I got most of the stonework from India, from Jodhpur. What you see on the left-hand side, that when we celebrated the School of Planning first year, some pictures. And then there was a letter here. Many of you may not know, but CEPT University School of Architecture was recognized by Royal Institute of British Architect. There was a delegation which came to CEPT, and there were only 3 colleges in India which were recognized: School of Architecture, Ahmedabad, School of Architecture and Planning, Delhi, and Rijvi College, Bombay. All 3 lost their recognition. The reason being that faculty did not bother to review the recognition because it needed a lot of work. From hindsight, I see it was a big mistake, because many of my architecture colleagues, alumni who come to UK, they are finding it very difficult to get into the architecture profession. Yeah. So I was involved in my village hall where we had to redo the whole thatching work. So I really went and studied how the thatching has been done. And people are known as thatchers, and I spent about a week learning with them and helping them to do the thatch roof for my village. This part shows a project which I had done with De Montfort University. I spent some time teaching there. Was about the inner city development where the minority community lives. The city was at Birmingham, and there's a place called Balti area, mainly Indian restaurants. The whole idea was to how to bring about in or Asian character around that area. So it was a process with the students to do all the design furniture and fittings to that area. The one in the bottom was that I did design a temple for a Hindu community in Hounslow area of London. Totally different approach. It took off the ground, but it stopped. That was one of the sad part about many of the communities which are here, that they do not do proper financing of their funds. This is that big project, very involved project. Now, to give you an idea, that I'm sure the engineers will know, with the movement of the moon, the sun, the movement of the sun, the earth movement takes place. The whole idea here was that when you are using A light ray which is thinner than your hair, any slight movement can make a difference. So how you solve that problem? And the whole foundation was based on different type of piling, and which takes care of that lunar movement and adjust the ground adjustment when the lunar situation moves. So it was a very involved project from engineering side of it, very involved project where you're sitting with a physicist who have been receiving Nobel Prize and all that, and talking to about how you're going to go about things, and on the other side, how is going to cater for all the international community at the same time. And it falls under what is called as a category for security, and how you develop a security system whereby you are covered with this. And the last part is the radiation. How you avoid the radiation coming out of this whole big complex? How you control the entry to the complex? What happens? How you monitor all those? Sort of a very complex thing, and a very interesting, very involved project for me. These are part of the building around that side. Okay, now coming back to my own personal thing. I live in a small village. This is my house. I live here. My surrounding is like this. And this is just 2 minutes walk from my place. Coming back to CEPT after graduation, going back and all that. This is in 1997 when we celebrated Doshi's 75th birthday. My involvement, a lot of community work, part of the Cambridge Community Indian Association over here, becoming the local mayor of Cambridge. Again, I've been a lot more involved with CEPT University. When I was there through the Alumni Association of the different faculty, we started a welcoming event for the students, and this was in 2014. This is the planning batch being welcomed. And the whole idea was that as an alumni, we welcome them and to make them feel that they are at home. It's not the CEPT management, but the CEPT alumni group which is inviting them. And they all were given sketchbook and stationery and all those things, and many still have kept with them. The whole welcoming event got stopped from 2016 onwards. And I did ask them why this was stopped, but to date, I have not received any answer to that. This was taken last year in February with Doshi. This is, he is signing a book for me. I've always kept in touch with him. And many of us, we keep in touch with him, and we all have a different type of relations with him. Again, last year with him. Right, what I've been doing during the lockdown, I've been doing a workshop for myself. This is in the summer of last year. And by the time I was trying to finish it, I had to wait for some of the material, which because of the COVID-19, the manufacturing and stuff, I was waiting for some windows, and we just came after just before the winter season started, so I'm doing nothing right now. We had 3 founders for the CEPT, including the philanthropist who was the main person who really helped CEPT to proceed, Kasturbai Lalbhai. Doshi is one of the founders, Bernard Cohn, Ras Bihari Vakil. And all this, I had interviewed all 3 of them. I've got their recording, which is almost for each one of them goes beyond 2 to 3 hours. To interview Bernard Cohn, I traveled to France and I stayed with him for 4 days. The whole idea was to record how really the whole institute had started. This is Doshi at his 90th birthday. And this is what he wrote on one of my presentation in 1997. This is what he wrote in 2017. And this is what he wrote for me last year when I saw him. So this is a very condensed form, okay? Means in terms of number of projects, means I have done over 56 schools, over 25 over different office type of buildings and things like that. A lot of community buildings, and apart from that, I've been involved in a lot of different type of a community involvement, both for our community and for the local community and things like that. And at the same time, I've been spending quite a reasonable time visiting CEPT and doing something at CEPT itself. Thank you very much.
All right, Suresh bhai, thank you so much. I mean, this was awesome. Thank you so much for taking us through such a visual journey with, the sketches were just so interesting. And, sharing some of your project details and, different places that you have lived. And, you are the senior most alumni on the panel today. And so it is indeed, it's a pleasure for all of us to hear about your long journey and, so many experiences. And you being so involved with the community, you are also one of the very instrumental forces to behind bringing all of us together. So thanks for sharing your journey, and for all your efforts also to helping us with CEPT AA also. So glad to have you on the panel today. So with that, we have quick two questions for all speakers. And it's just fun questions, for example, like the first question is, how has CEPT influenced your life and career path? And also, how have you influenced CEPT? So that's the first question. And the second is, what is the most kind of memorable activity or the event, that you still cherish, back when you were in the campus? So we would like again to ask these two questions, just quickly, all of our four speakers, and this time we can start with Suresh bhai. Suresh bhai, if you would like to just share some of your thoughts.
Let's start with Richa.
Okay, all right, all right. Let's again go with the same order. Richa, please, you go ahead then.
Sure. Fantastic. It was so good to learn from everyone, and the wealth of experience that was represented is amazing. So I'd start with two things. So first is, ability to do systems thinking, and be able to work at a macro level and micro level with the same, level of ease and thoroughness is something that I learned at CEPT. And those 5 years at CEPT were the most formative years for me, both professionally and personally, because, that was a time when I came from home. I'm from Kutch, so was living in a hostel. Was the first time, I realized that you have to pay electricity bill, because otherwise your electricity is going to get cut off. And that happened multiple times because I had never seen an electricity bill. So right from living at the hostel to, living outside the hostel, it taught a lot, even personally. So, but the two things that I carry with me professionally are, this systems thinking approach. And that is because whenever we were designing any project, we were forced to think it in terms of the context where that project was, and also think about the details as to how that is going to get executed. So today, whenever, I'm designing, for example, a 5-year strategy, I'm also in my mind developing a blueprint as to how the strategy is going to be implemented, even if it is, 5 years or 7 years down the line. So I think that is something that really helps me today. And the second is the ability to communicate or to express your ideas very effectively and convincingly. And that is something that I've got from all the vivas and juries and the grilling that happens, that you have to, present your work, and you have to defend, because there's no right or wrong in design, but you have to be able to, convince and communicate your idea effectively. So it really helps me again today to present what I'm thinking with a very, very clear mind and effectively. Things that, I would remember for life, or that will be with me, are that my undergraduate thesis was published as a student monograph, and it sits today in some of the most prestigious libraries in the world, including the Fisher Fine Arts Library at the University of Pennsylvania. So it always, is a good thing to take your friends at the university that you're studying and saying that, oh, this is the book and this is in the library, and it gives you a confidence. And second was the exchange program that happened. So we were me and one of my classmates, we were one of the first ones to, go to Stuttgart, because that was the year when exchange program had started at SID. And that really opened up our, vision that world is not just where we are, we can go anywhere we want. And that was something that really shaped us. And we were outside our comfort zones, and learned a lot during those 6 months as an exchange student. And the fun moments that I would miss forever, or one fun moment that would always be in my mind, is going into the pond. If anyone remembers Rajesh Sagara's pond and how we used to get thrown during holy times and birthdays and whatever. And I know Shakti was here on the call, and Shakti was my roommate at the hostel. And even if it was her birthday, I would be put in the pond because just I was her roommate, or vice versa. So that those memories will always be with us.
Right. So yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, when we talk about our campus, I think we all get to, go back in time, and this is interesting stories. Thanks for sharing. So, all right. So next we will go to Vikas then. Vikas, please go ahead.
So I agree with everything that Richa mentioned. I won't repeat, but I'll just talk about the fun stuff. So I remember all the fun stuff, jam sessions. The studio would get converted into disc, within a couple of hours. And it was just amazing. We still talk about it, my wife and I.
We're telling the kids, right?
Yeah, we tell the kids, that there isn't any campus like CEPT anywhere.
Yeah.
And whenever we go back, we are visiting India, we make it a point. If we can do it during Navratris, then of course that's one other fun stuff. Everybody will agree. But we take the kids, we show them our studios, and talk about everything that we used to do, and pulling all-nighters during submissions was fun. What else? Hostel, I cannot forget. I was a localite, but people, Raval did not know until I graduated that I lived 3 miles from the hostel, and I had a single room. So it was great. And what else? Festivals were fun time, those 6, 7, 8 days, even when we think now, we go back in time. What else, Timir?
Actually, I was going to say that I just received a text from Shubhi to ask you a question.
Okay.
Why did people call you Lovely?
Yeah, so I was in planning. I would always be able to synthesize a very cohesive story and rationalize, regardless of whether it was made up or true. So that's why I got the name.
Mostly made up.
See, that just occurred to Timmy just now. It was not thought of.
So that's it. That's it from my side. It's
Oh, interesting,
and stuff.
interesting. That's fun to hear. And I can see. I mean, being localite, I guess the parents don't even know that the child is still living in the house because everybody's just in the campus all the time.
Right, right. Yep.
And yeah, something that he said, he talked about travel, right? So
Hmm.
he was talking about the hostel, boys' hostel, and to get a room in the boys' hostel, you have to be you
Not
cannot
be
be
a
a
local.
localite, basically.
Right. Okay. Right. Right.
So that's what he was saying, that he lived literally 3 miles away from the college, but the hostel management never knew that until the end, until he was graduating from planning.
Yeah, they always thought I was from Delhi for one or the other reason, because most of the folks I would hang out with were from Delhi and from that area. And so when I graduated and everybody was leaving the hostel, and so was I, and I had my Kinetic and I had put all my stuff on Kinetic. And so this guy comes, Raval, and says, so ઘરે નથી જતો? I said, ત્યાં છું ને. તો કે, how are you going to go? I said, Kinetic છે ને અહીં. Then he says, ના પણ હા ઘરે જાય છે Kinetic પર. મેં કીધું હા ઘરે આના ઉપર જવું ને. So going on and on, he said, પણ દિલ્હી આટલી સુધી દિલ્હી જશે? I said, ના હું થોડી દિલ્હીમાં રહું છું.
Oh, that is fun. That is fun. Oh, all right. So thanks, Vikas, for sharing these fun stories. And okay, next we'll have Amit. Please, tell a little bit about you.
Thank you, Neha. So I have a visual and we learned from Suresh Bhai. When I said CEPT has permanently changed my life, I really meant it. So I too met my partner at CEPT, and that's the biggest influence that CEPT had. But professional, I talked about, but personally, really many things, and I just want to share one. So when it came to dancing, I had 2 left feet. And despite being Gujarati, I never did Garba. The only thing I would say, CEPT was so non-judgmental, the environment was so conducive. That's where I first time did my Garba, and it's now a permanent part of my life. And that's what CEPT did to me. So I'll stop at that.
And his family is proud of him. Now he can do Garba. True Gujarati.
True
Good.
CEPT made me the complete Gujarati now.
Perfect. That's good. All right. So, all right. Thanks, Amit. And now lastly we have Suresh Bhai. Suresh Bhai, please go ahead. We want to hear your stories.
Right. I'm going to start with here we have a Jain, and in the same hostel we have someone who likes to eat pigeon. That was our hostel life. The person who was Jain was one of the faculty, Ajay Shah. Ajay Shah stayed in hostel with us. And Antonio, he died because of cancer when we were in second year. In fact, the first scholarship was established by his parents for the CEPT. And in hostel you have a lot of pigeons. So what Antonio did, his dinner is pigeon. He will kill the pigeon and cook it. So when he's cooking the pigeon, Ajay Shah will go for a walk. Okay. So he could not understand why he have to eat pigeon. And he will say, I don't understand why he can't eat pigeon. Okay. That was the atmosphere in M block. Now, when the M block was built, we didn't have proper road or anything. Neither we had good food. And we had one student who came from Delhi, and he didn't like the Gujarati food because he was from Delhi. He wanted Punjabi food. So he brought a cook with him. And many of might have, I can't remember his name, but
Navneet Sachdev.
Yeah. No, cook name.
Manbar Singh.
Manbar Singh. So everyone then started demanding Punjabi food. Even those who were not staying in hostel used to come to hostel to eat his food. So that was interesting part of the development during that process. We didn't have roads and everything, so we said we'll build the road to the hostel. And I used to take the initiative, and everyone used to curse me. Why are you asking us to do this thing? I said, look, it is for us to go from hostel to the canteen. Okay. Then there were moments when I spent a year after architecture, then before joining planning, I was doing research, transportation research and teaching. I used to teach first year architecture, first batch, technical drawings mainly. And normally the intake has always been 30 for second faculty of architecture. And I failed 7 of them. And they said, how is it possible? I said, look, they are wasting their money and they are wasting our money. They are not fit to be architects. And one of them was Professor Jain's son. Sorry, yeah, Professor Jain's brother. And he said, सुरेश भाई तुमने क्या करा? मैंने बोला जैन साहब ये आपके पैसे खराब करने वाला है. So 7 of them, I could fail them. Okay, and that was interesting. The other part was interesting, that how open CEPT management was at that time. We as a student body, we used to interview the intake. We used to tell them, if what we select, if they are good, naturally your selection will match ours. And it is true, it did. Now that is what has guided us to be open and free all the time. And I think many of us have pursued our development, our career in the same principle. Be open, be accept, challenge things, try to get the right solution. Right. In my career, the last project I showed, that very big project, which is Government Ministry of Science. One day the minister called me and he asked me, where did you study architecture? I said, I studied in Ahmedabad. And he was really surprised. See, that was the foundation we got from CEPT. And it is very difficult when you talk to professionals from other institutes that why CEPT product is so different from other product. Okay, and when I say product, I mean all of us. Okay, because that is how we were molded, and that was the ethos by which CEPT was established right from the beginning. Now that ethos have to be continued. Definitely, things go up and down, but I'm very optimistic that things will move much more better than what we had. Okay, but there's so many incidents. Whenever I used to go to campus, all the peons used to run away from me because I used to go all around the studio and check whether they're clean or not. So that taught me that wherever you are, you have to make sure your environment is proper. And even when I go now, naturally, many of those peons are not there, but when they were there, whenever I used to go there, they'll come to meet me all the time. I spent about 6-7 years in India recently, and it gets very hot, we all know. And we have all these malis. So one day I went and bought hats for them. And then, so next day I went to the office and they, Suresh bhai, you did a great job. I said, what you people have been doing all these years? So you can see the change, what has happened to the management part of it, okay? It doesn't looking after the whole of the CEPT, okay? Now, that disturbs me lately, okay? Because we have been brought up in helping each other, building up that community in which we can see right now among many of you, okay? So there are many interesting incidents taking place all along. Vikram was with us and then he moved to, I think he had an ill health and he moved 1 year behind me. We kept him. Jimraj was there and then Kirit Desai will remember that I used to spend all of my time sleeping in studio all the time, Rajesh studio.
All of us.
he will remember me very well. Then Kirit Desai, he'll remember that when we were there, when we came from East Africa, this is 1965.
Yeah.
The foreign things are not available, remember. So we came with rotring pencil, we came with Steller, we came with Faber and Castle and all those things. We came with a racing cycle and all those things and all foreign clothes, okay? Now this did have an influence, okay? Because they started saying, oh, really, this is what we can use for drawing, this is what we can do. And it was an interesting phase of the development of CEPT. Okay? I remember many of my colleagues that time used to come and borrow my sweater. Oh, it's a foreign sweater, let me wear it for tomorrow. Okay. So that was the atmosphere, and we used to share everything. We can go on many things, but just simple, small one which came to me straight away.
All right. All right, interesting. So, but your stories are, for us, like, it's so much way back, and it's just so interesting to hear, what is to happen in CEP campus. So
we have here Kirit. We got Jinda just come. We got Vikram. When they come in, they can all talk about and take all of us back to 60s.
Right.
You have to recognize when we started as students, the School of Architecture began in the arts building. There were 3 rooms set aside in the faculty, and then we moved into a gymnasium. So when the School of Architecture was being built, we were students, and it was on our way from student residences to the gymnasium. So we were walking through the construction site every day or twice a day, looking at how the school campus is going up. So that was an amazing experience. It was a hands-on exercise, and we were imagining ourselves moving on the campus. It was a desolate place. It was the last piece of real estate that Ahmedabad Education Society had, which was actually originally set aside to excavate topsoil and make bricks. So those were the brick kilns, and though she said, we will take it. And those were the trenches which became the basements of the campus. And Suresh and I, we were involved in nurturing the landscape. Now, we were not landscape architects. We were not working with Bhagwat or others. We were looking at gardening of the whole campus with the Malis. That's what Suresh is talking about. Every time I went back, Malis would tell me, Vikram bhai, pani nathi, pani ka kuch kar do. Oh, how am I going to fix the water problem in Ahmedabad when I'm just visiting for 24 hours? But that's what was their expectation, that students should be working in this manner.
CEPT at that time had a rose garden. Now, there is an alumni in America, Shashikant, he is in California. He was very much involved in this landscaping part. Okay, and I think we should get him on the platform.
Sure. All right.
He's continuing the same practice because he came from
same thing here in California.
Okay. Sure, we will have more people, definitely. I mean, as we have more events, we will have, all of our alumni, get involved and come and speak. Definitely.
Other thing I just want to mention is this jam sessions you're talking about. That entire beginning was quite modest, to have music in the School of Architecture and have concerts and so on. And the first concert was organized by Vivek Khadpekar. Vivek was very active in classical music scene. He had come from Pune, and we had invited a very famous Maharashtrian singer to come. Unfortunately, in the train journey, they broke the Tanpura. And it was Kirit Desai who stayed up whole night and fixed.
Talked about Garba.
But
during that time, all colleges in Ahmedabad, they used to have an annual event where you invite the parents, and you have different performances. So the CEP Ras Garba started during that time. At one time, the event was held at CEPT campus, when the CEPT campus was built. You know, we got this quota round circles. Now that was the stage. Now I remember, and they asked me, you are from Africa, so why don't you do an African dance? I said, okay, I'll do a Maasai dance. I know how to do Maasai dance. Believe me, the parents got afraid in the middle of my dance because I had a spear with me. And I used to go and move to the crowd because I had all camouflage in black paint. Okay, and sort of a not a feather one, for different type of a skirt. Now the person who was instrumental on this part of the project was called Shetty. He expired years back.
Yeah.
Okay, and many of us remember him fondly. Okay,
My roommate.
yeah, and he was from Dadar, Bombay. Okay. So this was the period when all these things started, experiment started, and all those things started. Now, the first event, like what we have now, what has become an annual event to open up the students' work. In fact, it was a very different thing because everyone used to look at those who were studying in CEPT as someone who are beyond approach, that you are an ivory tower. So the whole idea was that how we communicate with the community. So we said, look, let us have an event, a 3-4 day event. We invite everyone to campus and then let them see what we do. And that is how the first event had started. And many of you will remember when you were there, you used to have your own stall, do things and sell to community and things like that. Because we have to be with the community, and we realized that we were shunned when we were there in school at that time. That and we had to connect with them. How we connect with them, and that whole process started during that time.
Right. All right. Thank you so much for sharing, all these interesting stories. And let's have a big round of applause for all our speakers. All right. So without further delay, since we need to be respectful of everyone's time. I think we have a very quick second poll question. So we would like to just run that quickly. Timur, would you please like to launch the poll question?
Sure.
And again, this is a multiple choice, so you can answer more than one. The question is, which CEPT committee would you like to join? There are a lot of events, activities planned ahead for this year, and we will have different events. There are even things we need to do on social media. Again, like website, designing some graphics, or hopefully, this year we get back to like somewhat normal. We can even have a in-person, a big get together somewhere. So, that may also need some work. So, please let us know, what interests you. And I think we'll keep it open for another 10 or 15 more seconds. And then, Timmy, please do share the result at the end.
Sure. Still waiting for more votes. You have 14 out of 21, 15.
All right. Has everyone? All right. Let's close the poll then.
Okay. I'm sharing the results.
Sure. All right. So we have 75% would like to be somewhere, get involved with the events committee. Then we have, in person, that is 50%. Oh, that's great. And then we also have social media committee, 44%. And then we have graphics committee, 19%. And website is last, 13%. So great. I mean, this really helps, knowing, what really interests everyone, and, how they can be involved with CEPT, further events. Thank you all for, giving your answers. Um, all right, we can close the poll. And All right, before, now the last part is before we open it up to, participants introduction and, kind of get to know, who all are on the call today. Just a very quick update about, our next event. And Timmy, I think I would like to share my screen. Can you please?
Give me 1 second.
Sure.
You're all set.
Sure. All right, so this is, our next event, and this is, this event is scheduled for March 7th in celebration of International Women's Day. And, as we had announced it earlier in one of the events, we are launching this new event series for CEPT AA Women, and it's called From Her Perspective. And, this is like a part of a series, and, first event we are launching, and there will be more events in the future. And the basic, the central idea behind hosting this series is, we would like to have a collective celebrating, the social, professional, cultural, and economic achievements of CEPT AA women. And this new initiative will bring together, all Septians in Americas and who choose to challenge stereotypes, biases towards, creating a diverse, equitable, and inclusive world. And the first event will feature a few Get Inspired stories. So these are the stories of resilient CEPT AA women who have achieved their personal and professional goals and have taken roads which are less traveled, and, explore uncharted territories and challenge, some of these cultural norms while, contributing significantly to the field. And so the intent here is to really bring different women voices to the table and share some of their unheard stories. And again, the series will also highlight the critical role that the male counterparts will have to play in bringing an inclusive world by, inviting CEPT AA men to share their supportive stories. In just in few days, US will have the first second gentleman in the history of the country. And so, we want to hear how CEPT AA gentlemen are supporting women here in the US and Canada. So this should be a very interesting event. And so we are still kind of brainstorming and working. So if you have any ideas, if you would like to share some of your stories, please get in touch. Your story will definitely inspire others. And the whole objective is to really connect, support, and empower CEPT women here in the Americas. So, so this is our next event. And of course, we'll have more of Canteen Talks, Musings over Chai, this other series planned, as we go along in the year. And again, with that, here is the website, and, you'll find all the information there. And, please spread the word, help strengthen our CEPT organization. And with that, I will stop sharing my screen, and we would like to open this up to participants introduction so that we get to know who all are on this call today. And what I'll do is I'll go through the list of participants that I see on my list on my screen. And then, please quickly you can introduce, please let us know your name, batch, your faculty, your current location, and 2 or 3 lines about your work, but please keep it very brief, about 30 to 40 seconds, because we are really in short of time at this point. So I would I think the first one I have here is actually Timir Shah, so please go ahead.
Timir Shah, School of Building Science and Technology, 1995 batch. Came here for Masters in Transportation Engineering back in 2003, sorry, graduated in 2005, and since then I'm in Florida working on roads and bridges construction projects, especially the projects that are funded by federal government or state government. And that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years.
All right, thanks, Tibir. And next one, we actually have two Kirit Desai. So please,
Dadi, that's what we used to call.
So we have one. Please start. I mean, whoever wants to go
Whoever
first.
wants to start. You want to go with senior or junior?
I think I have been introducing for quite a few times. So I think most people have kind of know about me. I kind of had a more detailed talk in the first Canteen Talk. So 63, School of Architecture, 63 batch. And it's wonderful to see everybody kind of come together. And especially, I'm kind of been here for almost now 40 plus years, and lucky to work for two Pritzker Prize winner architects, starting with Doshi and ending with IMP in New York, and also worked on a planning of various large projects in Baltimore and in New York. And now retired and enjoying my retirements and the grandchildren. And hopefully we can have something planned in person. And I'm going to ask Timir to do it, because I heard he's good at organizing the good parties. And so hopefully sometimes in August or later on, whenever we can do it. So now, Kirit Dadi, it's your turn.
Okay. 1964, School of Architecture. I've been here in the States for over 50 years now and pretty much retired. That's about my story here. You can move on to the next person here. I have spent almost over 50 years here in the States. After I started working here in architecture and city planning. These are the two fields I have worked in, and I've retired for a couple of years now.
Thank you.
Thank
you. All right, next we have Vikram Bhatt. Would you please like to go ahead?
Vikram, 1965, came to Canada after graduating at CEPT. I worked with Doshi and while I was a student also, came here to do my graduate work at McGill, and in some rare cases at Academia Feds itself. And I have stayed on as a professor, and now I continue. I have stopped teaching full time. I have become emeritus professor, so I focus more on my research and writing. And I have continued working in minimum cost housing on different issues related to housing, human settlement, and urban development around the globe.
2 books.
I have written several books on architecture, and that work continues.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thanks.
Yeah, I think I wanted to add that Vikram was one of the first one to write a book on Indian architecture long time before many of the people have kind of started doing it. And I think maybe we will need more time, Vikram, for you to tell us about all these things whenever you have a time. So.
Yeah, we will do it. I just wanted to.
I know.
This is first time I am remiss here. I did not thank you right away because I was not even included in this get together until last night. I didn't know about. Avni had mentioned it in passing that there is a group, and Suresh had mentioned because last week we had a reunion of our class batch that he had pulled together. And last night I got a call from Kirit, and he said, you mind coming and joining? And I said, it would be a pleasure. Thanks very much, Kirit.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining. We'll be having many more events. So, please join and we'll get to know you more. So thank you so much. All right. So next we have Jinraj Joshipura.
Raj, I
I'm from the last century batch, which is 1966. I live in Puerto Rico with my wife. I have worked in more than 17 fields, none of which I have studied. And this year, in COVID year, I was recognized as a composer. Now I'm on the Wikipedia and on the composers list. And that surprised me totally after 51 years. And so I will tell my story one day when I get a chance on musing over chai.
Sure, sure, definitely. All right, thank you. Next, we have Saurabh Bhattacharya.
Hi, yeah, this is Saurabh. I graduated from SBST 98 batch, graduated in 2003, and I'm based out of Atlanta. I've been in Atlanta all this while. I came here to study transportation engineering at Georgia Tech, and I work for a company called Parsons Corporation. Uh, Timir mentioned he constructs bridges and roads, and I design them, and then they go to him to construct. So that's
We find problems.
But this was my first. I've been meaning to join these calls for a while. This was my first one, and certainly very exciting to hear the historical background and all these perspectives from so many experienced and learned people. So I enjoyed this call.
Thank you. Thanks for joining. Glad to have you. I think we have few new faces in this call. So we have put in some of these links about different groups. We have LinkedIn group, Facebook group, and so please do look at the chat box and whatever interests you, please join some of those platforms just to be involved and get to know other people. All right. So next we have Amit Forum. So I'm asking Forum to please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I've been joining these conversations since past 2 or 3, and I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. So first, thank you for, like Richa was saying, thank you for making this platform so, interactive and giving us all an opportunity to interact with each other. I am from 97 Faculty of Technology batch. Then it was called SBST, and then I went on to do planning. I think it was 2002 batch. And right now we're living in Washington, D.C. I work for the World Bank and work in the office that is located in Washington, D.C., but work globally and particularly now in Middle East, so Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt, and a bit on Palestine as well.
Wonderful. All right. Thanks. All right. So now the next
Do
person.
you know Bala Krishnan?
Yeah.
Bala Menon?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Menon.
He's a close
Bala is a
colleague.
student of mine. And okay, say hello to him.
I will.
All right. Next, my list is jumping, so I will. Next one is Deepak Mulji. Would you please like to go ahead?
He has gone to swimming in the ocean.
We can come back to him. Let's do that. We have next is Divya Gandhi.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for, of course, organizing this. I also have been meaning to join for quite some time now, but yeah. So this is the first time that I'm here, and it's incredible to see everyone in, of course, an entirely different country. So yes, I'm really happy to be here. So I'm Divya Gandhi, and I studied the undergraduate. I was from the undergraduate planning course. So I started CEPT in 2012, 2016 graduated, and then moved to Boston and got my master's from Tufts University. And yes, focused it all on urban and transportation planning since the very start. And while I was in Boston, and in grad school, I did work a little bit with Nelson Nygaard and did a bunch of transportation planning projects. And right after I graduated in 2018, I moved to the San Francisco Bay Area. And here as well, I work as a transportation planner, working on definitely the private consulting side of things, where we work with cities and counties in the California region, helping them do active transportation planning, corridor plans, parking and management studies, and also a lot of safety studies. Yeah, that's about me. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Hope you're enjoying your first event. All right. Next person we have is Ekta Parekh.
Hi everyone. Many of you know me, and I know many of you. So it's good to see all of you back and back again. So I am from School of Architecture 93 batch. God, it has been such a long time. I still need to think like what we did, right? Um, and after that, so I've been in US for since last 21 years. I got married and came here. I worked here for a couple of years after I got my green card, and then I'm settled and then took a break with my kids. And now I'm a financial architect. So it's a change of career, but I do see myself as a financial architect as because that's my background. So I live in New Jersey, Marlborough, New Jersey. So I do miss, as Kirit Kaka mentioned, the in-person events that we have been going to. In New York, we did a couple of 2 or 3, I would say, where we met each other, and that was a great thing. So hopefully this year we'll be able to do something, and I'm all up for it.
Right, sounds good. Thanks, Ekta. Next one we have is Hasmukh Patel.
We don't see him there.
He's there, but he's muted.
Yeah, Hasmukh Patel, do you hear us?
I don't see his picture anywhere.
Yeah, okay.
No, he has video off.
Yeah, we can come back then. Let's do that.
I don't think he probably left.
Okay. So next is Heman Modi.
Hello everyone. Amazing guys as usual to hear everyone. This is Heman Modi from School of Interior Design 92 batch. We moved here, me and Shalini. So Shalini Srivastava Modi, she is from 95 batch, Timir's batch, from SBST, and we moved here in 2003 from Ahmedabad. After I did my graduation in interior design, we were from the second batch. So what Vikram sir was telling about, going to the school that was built. So we were actually in the principal bungalow near Commerce Chaurasta. So that is how we started there, and I totally agree that it was an amazing time that we actually measured drew. Not that we knew much how to measure draw the site, but we measured drew the site next to the SBST where the trees are located with Krishna ma'am and all. And the school building came up in front of us. Of course, first the workshop and then the school building. So it was a great time. Anyway, we moved 2003. Right now, I have my own design practice in Toronto, Canada. So Vikram sir, I would love to meet you when you are here, or I would visit you for sure.
Anytime, you're most welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And so yeah, we are designing. We do mainly visual branding, interior design, and event design. And I've been doing this here for almost now 11 years. And I very proudly say that part of my team, I have another 4 Septians who works with me as my team members. So from architecture and 3 interior design, and another proud things, and because of the team. So since last 3 years, we have been given an award for the top interior design firm in the Toronto chapter. So that's also, and I think it's such a proud feeling that when you have such an amazing peer group, the thing that you guys have done in 60s and 70s, we are getting the benefit out of it. So
congratulations, keep up the good work.
So on my team's behalf, of course, they are not here, but on Shalini's behalf, it is really, really good that we are learning so much out of you, Vikram sir, and today Suresh bhai also. So thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, next one is Paramjit Manku.
He's muted, and he has arrived at the perfect time, 5:30.
Yeah, we'll soon begin the social hour. That's the most important part.
Well, I'm not going to say why I'm late, but I will say when we have the social hour, not now. This is for I'm from the 97 planning batch. I worked a couple of years back home in India and then moved to Ireland and almost 14 years worked there. And in 2014, I moved to Canada. Presently working with WSP in the capacity of a vice president here for the infrastructure project. Because most of my work is purely engineering, the procurement and the advisory role for a number of clients on the water and the wastewater sector. That's me.
All right, thank you. Next one we have is Parth Bowser.
Hello, 98 batch SBST. After CEPT, I did a master's and PhD in transportation engineering. Right now, I'm teaching in Kennesaw State University and do a little bit of research in ITS, Intelligent Transportation Systems.
All right, thanks, Parth. Next we have is Sakti Tibrewal.
Hello, everyone. It's so good to see all of you virtually. I wish we could see each other in person, but yeah, it's so good to see familiar faces that I met and new ones. So my name is Shakti and I'm 2002 batch, School of Architecture. I worked a little bit in India after I finished architecture and while doing thesis. And after I moved to US. I moved a lot all around the world and life happened and I didn't really work as an architect or I had visa issues and it was a long break. And now I have started working as an admin, but I want to get back to architecture, learn all the softwares. Let's see where that goes. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Sakti. Next we have is Siddharth Shah.
Hi, everyone. It's been a pleasure to attend these conversations and learn from each and every one of you. I am joining from Chicago. I did SBST at CEPT, 2010 batch, the last batch that was 30 people. And then I came to the States. I did master's in civil engineering, but then I did master's in urban planning. Right now, I am a plan engineer, if anyone may say so. I work with a company called Sam Schwartz, and our primary client is Chicago Department of Transportation, and I help managing their Vision Zero and pedestrian safety program. That's me.
All right, thank you. Sounds good. Thanks. So I think we have pretty much covered everyone except for I think Hasmukh Patel and Deepak Mulji, who I think are not active. But am I missing anyone else? Please jump in. All right. So I think that's it. Then let's with this, I would like to thank everyone for joining today. And then we will soon just start with our social hour or social hours. And, with that, I would like to conclude the event. And, have a great year, everyone. And, we look forward to an awesome 2021. And please stay safe, stay healthy. And thanks again. And let's get our drink started. And I think that's it. We can, stop the recording, I guess. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.